In a major development overnight, the U.S. Supreme Court has halted the Trump administration's attempt to deport a group of Venezuelan migrants using an obscure wartime statute. The move has sparked legal and political debates across the country. Here's our report.
League alert. The ACLU's lead attorney said, "These individuals were close to being sent to a foreign prison without any chance to defend themselves." Thankfully, the court intervened for now. The legal strategy and government pushback, President Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act, citing concerns about alleged gang ties, particularly to Tren de Aragua, a violent Venezuelan group. The law, dating back to 1798, has rarely been applied outside of major wars. The legal battle became more complex after a recent Supreme Court ruling limited challenges under the Act to only the districts where detainees are held. As a result, the ACLU launched a broad legal campaign, even proposing to file in all 90-plus federal jurisdictions if necessary. At a Friday hearing in Washington, D.C., a DOJ lawyer assured the court that no immediate flights were planned and that detainees would receive at least 24 hours' notice before removal. However, Judge James Boasberg questioned the credibility of those assurances, noting the lack of clear language in the notice forms given to detainees, prior violations, and contempt risk. This legal dispute follows an earlier incident in March when Judge Boasberg directed the Trump administration to pause deportations under the Act, yet 3 flights still departed from Texas to El Salvador, leaving over 200 migrants imprisoned abroad. Boasberg is now considering whether to launch a contempt proceeding against federal officials, though that inquiry has been temporarily paused by an appeals court. Recent developments at Bluebonnet Center, the ACLU's latest lawsuit, filed on behalf of 2 detainees identified as AARP and WMM, was initially rejected after the DOJ claimed no deportation orders had been issued for them. However, other Venezuelans at the facility soon received notices of removal. One individual, FGM, was reportedly asked to sign a deportation waiver in English, despite only understanding Spanish. When he refused, officers allegedly told him it was a presidential directive and that deportation would proceed regardless. Temporary halt by the court. In a brief early Saturday decision, the Supreme Court ordered a temporary suspension on the planned deportation of dozens of Venezuelan nationals. The migrants were accused of having gang affiliations and were being expelled under the Alien Enemies Act, an 18th-century law seldom used in modern times. The unsigned order, which came without a written explanation, as is typical in urgent cases, stated, "The government is directed not to remove any member of the putative class of detainees from the United States until further order of this court." Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel A. Alito Jr. dissented. The White House has not yet responded. Background on the deportation plan. According to sources close to the situation, over 50 Venezuelan detainees were scheduled to be flown from an immigration center in Anson, Texas, potentially to El Salvador, as part of a broader effort launched under President Trump's recent executive action. Legal advocates had been trying to prevent such removals for days. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, already obtained injunctions in other cities, including New York, Denver, and Brownsville, Texas. Emergency legal actions, immigration attorneys initially petitioned a federal district court in Abilene, Texas, to halt the deportations, alleging that detainees at the Bluebonnet Detention Center were being handed notices warning them of imminent expulsion. When Judge James Wesley Hendricks declined to grant an immediate injunction and later rejected the request altogether, the attorneys appealed to the Fifth Circuit and then escalated the issue to the Supreme Court, claiming that migrants had already been placed on buses headed for an airport. Concerns over wrongful accusations. Among those detained is a 19-year-old, identified as YSM, who was arrested in March. Agents cited a Facebook photo showing him near someone holding a firearm as evidence of gang involvement. His lawyer argues the weapon in the picture was in fact a toy water gun, agreement with El Salvador since March 15th, the Trump administration has executed 5 deportation flights to El Salvador under a controversial agreement with President Nayib Bukele, who allows the U.S. to house alleged gang members in Salvadoran prisons for a fee. Officials from El Salvador have not confirmed if additional flights are scheduled.
This legal and humanitarian showdown is far from over. With deportation orders, international agreements, and historic laws all at play, the courts may continue to be the main battleground. Well, keep you updated.